can do it. Sure we can do it. We just got to, yeah, 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 yeah.
It's Thursday the 4th of May and today I spent most of the day with the chickens. In the back half of the stable we've got some of the chicks that are now, I think they're about 13 weeks old now, and the other noise you can hear is Elvis, who's getting upset because there are quite a lot of helicopters and aeroplanes going overhead. But these two, not the white ones, the two sandy coloured and auburn coloured ones, they are crossbreeds, and I'm loving them. I just love the colour of them. And there's a couple of younger ones. So there's all sorts of ages here. Now if Elvis will let me, if he doesn't get cross with me, I will take you through and we'll have a look at what I've been doing today. Come on sweetie, I'm afraid you're going to have to move. There's a good girl. So I've been busying myself at the back. This is our covered walkway, and Elvis is actually quite nervous of the camera, so I am just being a bit careful. So what I've been tackling today is clearing out the deep bedding in the back part of the chicken shed. Now I don't need to do the front part because that doesn't get used as much, but the back part where the perches go across here is pretty grim, so that's what I've been tackling, and it's a long old and quite smelly job. So what I don't quite understand is why when we're using a deep bedding system it's getting smelly in there. It would imply that there's not enough carbon, but they've got 8 inches of sawdust to start with, but I've been adding sawdust and other carbon matter on top of that 8 inches, so in theory that means it shouldn't be smelly, but it can't be doing the birds any good, so I decided to muck out that bit that goes underneath their perches and put fresh bedding in there and start again. So that's the chicken accommodation at the far end of the view there, at the end of the field. And here is the pile of sawdust and poop that I've taken out of the house so far. Sorry, I'm really out of breath. It's been quite hard work doing this. So yeah, so this is the pile of poop and sawdust, and as you can see there's an awful lot of carbon matter in comparison to visible poop, so I have no idea, and I just don't understand why it's not working quite as a deep bedding system ought to. So I've got down to floor level in at least one place, and I'll just carry on doing just the back segment there. So I'm going to clear that bit, and then I'm going to move some of the wood shavings from the front here to the back and also top it up with fresh wood shavings. Well, after dealing with that little lot, I needed a shower and hair wash, and I think I thoroughly deserved it. And I've been trying to work out why that deep litter system for the chickens isn't working when there's absolutely no reason for it not to. I've had a good look at online and I've looked through my chicken books, and I think it's because normally that deep litter system would be used in a space where chickens would be scratching through it all the time and turning the carbon matter over with the chicken poop to mix it together, so that the carbon material had time to draw the moisture out of the poop. Now my chickens don't do that. They don't spend any time in the shed. They basically get up in the morning, race out of the door and rush off outside to see what's going on out in the world, and they very rarely go back into the shed. Now they do occasionally I find someone in there rootling around and digging a hole and enjoying themselves, but it's not a daily occurrence, and it's not all of them, and it's not even several of them, which means that the poop sits in a layer, and although I throw more carbon material on top, and that's the wood shavings, they got a really big thick layer of poop and then another big thick layer of poop with just a thinnish layer of wood shavings in between. It needs to be turned over and over and over and mixed for this system to work effectively. So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do. Now the instant fix will be for me to turn over their bedding each morning. Once I've let them out, I can just take the pitchfork around to the shed, leave it outside, and then each morning when they've left I can just give it a quick turn. And you never know, the action of me turning it over might encourage the girls to go back in and turn it over themselves. And that of course is a really simple thing to do. Now the other thing I could do is to throw in some herbs and some scratch for them to chase after and for them to dig around in it. But I'm not super keen in leaving food in their bedding because we do have a vermin issue here. We're not overrun, but I certainly don't want to be putting food on the floor, having just made all those lovely food dispensers that takes the food off the floor. So yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum. This is one of those ones I'll have to think about, and no doubt will be an ongoing issue. But for the next few days, until the girls maybe can notice that I'm doing it, I'm going to take the pitchfork round to the shed, and once I've let them out in the morning, turn over that poop and get it a bit further down in the carbon. Now I used a similar method for the chicks in the brooder pen, in the nursery pen. When we first put them in there, I put about 3 inches of wood shavings in the bottom, and that pretty much does them. And for the 3.5 weeks or so that they're in the nursery pen, and at the end of it, it's dry still, and it's just wood shavings and poop, and it never smells, and that works beautifully. So I know that it can work all right, but those little chickens, those little chicks, they're scratching through it the entire time and turning it over and over. So it does work, just not in the shed. About half these little chicks are 2 weeks old today, and most of the others are 2 weeks old tomorrow, and just a couple of them will be 2 weeks old on Saturday. And they've really grown. They've grown in size, they've grown in confidence, they've grown in ability. And my affection for them has grown along with it. They're just lovely little birds. And in the main part of the stable, it works fine too. But that's a large area, and they spend all their time scratching around in it. So I think it's the scratching that's the key. It's the next morning. I've been into the shed and used the pitchfork to turn over the wood shavings, and you know, there's no smell in there at all now. So it may well have been about the volume of poop compared to the amount of carbon matter. But I'm going to carry on doing the turning it over each morning, and hopefully that will work. And I'll also perhaps towards the end of the day throw a little bit of scratch in there, and then hopefully the chickens will get the idea of turning it over as well. If you've had a similar experience with your deep litter bedding system, please leave a comment below and let me know how you resolved the issue.